and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host, Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
I know what Larry David would say. I can't wish anybody a happy new year, but LD is not here right now. Much respect. Happy freaking new year 2026. We are back, y'all, yet again. Just
Happy
like
New Year, everybody.
Just like a bad case of hemorrhoids, you cannot get rid of us that easily.
Ah, damn, Chris. That's how you starting off the new year? Shit.
That is correct.
Hey, well, we appreciate everybody tapping in. Welcome to the first show of 2026 with the Outlet Forum. We are bringing you nothing but straight heat and magma. We got all NBA stuff coming tonight and a little bit of football, of course. Trae Young, is he finally on the move out of Atlanta? We have some breaking news that happened today on that. And the Lakers, are they finally figuring it out after back-to-back wins at home over the lowly Memphis Grizzlies? Looks like they're starting to play a little bit better together. Bron's starting to get his footing, playing a little better. Even Austin Reeves is out. We'll talk about them. NFL Wildcard Weekend, the playoffs are finally here. We'll talk about everything with the intriguing matchups. We're not talking about the Rams primarily, even though they are facing Carolina in a revenge game in Carolina that's supposed to be in the rain, but that should be a pretty interesting matchup. We got two other really good, interesting matchups, and we'll tell you why at the end of the show. But first, Chris, we got to start off. This is how the lowly Charlotte Hornets come into OKC after being 24-1.
Yeah.
They are now 30-7 after going 6-6 in their last 12 and lose back-to-back games for the first time this season. And this one by more than 27 points to the Charlotte Hornets at home in OKC. Chris, I got to ask you first, man, what do you make of the loss? And does this spell for bigger trouble for the Thunder? Or do you think this is just a speed bump in the road along a very long season?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get these doldrums. And obviously OKC came out of the gates. They were beating up on everybody, not just winning, but freaking dominating. And they did it without J-Dub. They did it without some other key guys. Wiggins was missing time. And yet, you know, you're going to go through these tough times. I think it's honestly the Spurs seem to really unlock some things against the Oklahoma City Thunder, going back to the in-season tournament, the semifinal for the West part of the bracket. And since then, they've lost 2 games to the Spurs. They lost one the other night, of course, to the Phoenix Suns on a game-winning 3 by Devin Booker. They lost to Minnesota in a close game. And then tonight, I mean, I saw that score, Chaz. I thought I was tripping. I was like, hold on, who's not playing tonight? Is SGA out? Is Chet out? Or is this one of those, what they like to call scheduled losses? They all played. Granted, it was the second night of a back-to-back, but there is no excuse, Chaz. I don't care what kind of funk you're in, how good you think you are. There's no excuse to get walloped that bad at home to a lowly Charlotte Hornets team. Just completely inexcusable. However, is it time to panic if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan? No, I don't think so. This is why it's so difficult to do what the 96 Bulls did or what the 2016 Golden State Warriors did. You're going to go through those lulls of the regular season. And the fact is, you know, Oklahoma City, they've got to play chess instead of checkers. Obviously, you want to end up with the number 1 seed or close to it. You want to have home court throughout the Western Conference playoffs. And more importantly, you want to be healthy. And that's the other thing that Oklahoma City has had going for them for the majority of the season. I know J-Dub missed those first few months through wrist surgery, but you look around the NBA, everyone's been beat up, right? The calf injuries, the hamstrings, the knees. It feels like every night your notification's blowing up of who went down now, and you're seeing a clip on social media of somebody writhing in pain. Oklahoma City has not had that problem. So this is just, I think, the dog days. I mean, when you start getting into like January, right, after the holidays, that honeymoon stage of last season is over. You're going to have those dog days of the season. That's just what it is, where you're at that halfway mark. You're looking ahead to the All-Star break a little bit. So I'm wondering if OKC is at that portion right now. And not to mention, Chaz, here's the other thing. You're the hunted now. And that's something that they haven't also really dealt with. And maybe they were prepared the first few months of the season, like I said, honeymoon stage of the season. But now you're settling into the dog days. And while you may be mentally taking a night off, I could assure you, even an opponent like the Charlotte Hornets is not going to take a night off. This is going to be their claim to fame for the regular season. Like, hey, we went into OKC and we beat the hell out of the defending champs. Take that. So I think it's more or less that rather than something more concerning. Your thoughts?
Here's the thing, man. I'm pulling it up right now, but for the Charlotte Hornets, they've been on absolute fire this year and are a covering machine. Like in their last 30 games as an underdog, they're 18-12, 8-2 in their last 10, and they actually are 5 games above 500 this year. They're a solid team out of the East, playing good ball behind LaMelo Ball and
Con Knuppel, who's another impressive rookie. He's done really
Brandon,
well.
What's
Brandon Miller? Brandon Miller just destroyed Kyle Kuzma last week, and I think he called him a bitch too while he was at it. So yeah, Charlotte's got some talent, man. I mean, look, I know everyone hates LaMelo Ball, but you can't deny the fact that this kid is playing well. You got Miles Bridges, old reliable. I know he said old, even though I don't even think he's a 10-year vet.
Old reliable.
Diabate, you got Colin Sexton coming up off the bench. Who's this other guy? PJ Hall had a nice game tonight, 13 points, 5 rebounds. So Charlotte is good. I mean, they're not good, but they're good.
They're 5 games above 500. That's good.
No, not. What are you talking about? They're 13-23, bro. How are they 500?
No, I'm saying like I'm in their recent.
Oh,
play.
yes, yeah. No, you're right. They're playing well. And who's their head coach now? Is it Charles? It's Charles Lee, right?
No,
Is that their no? Who's their head coach now? Somebody got that job. Yeah, I know. That's the problem with Charlotte.
Who cares?
Okay, hold on. Let's just give them, because how often are we going to talk about the Charlotte Hornets on this show? So let's just give them some. It is Charles Lee. I was right, dude. Charles Lee, former Boston Celtics assistant coach under Joe Mazzulla, won a championship with them in 2024 as Joe Mazzulla's associate head coach. Give the Hornets some credit, at least for the time being, right? Are they going to go anywhere this year? Probably not. They'll be lucky to be a play-in team. I don't even think they're going to reach that. But OKC's got some things to figure out. Like I said, I think it's just more for the dog days of the season. But still, bro, losing by 27 on your home floor, losing by 10 on your home floor to that team, inexcusable, Chaz. Inexcusable.
Yeah, it is inexcusable. Here's the thing for OKC. It's pretty clear that the noise of the first month of the season got to them. I don't want to say got to like players like Shea, but maybe have gotten to a player like Chet Holmgren, who hasn't really done anything in this league. That's an all-star. J-Dub, who hasn't done anything, talking like he's been through the fire because he won a championship with this SGA team. Like, I get it. You won, but you haven't really been through battle test. Like, there are players that haven't won anything that have been through more shit than you have, but you're talking like you've been through it all. Kind of like somebody like Jaylen Brown, for instance, right? Who's lost continuously over and over and over again, finally wins. We kind of respect him for the way that he talks with his leadership with JB being out, or Jason Tatum being out. But somebody like, J-Dub talking like he is, I'm not sure if you saw in that interview, but he's like, hey man, I won the championship. I've been through it all. No, you haven't. You just we're on a really good team that went 7 games with a Denver Nuggets team and went 7 games. Shouldn't have won 7 games with the Indiana team, but you did and you won. So I think that some of that noise got to them. Especially it trickles down to the players on the lower bench, because guys like Jay Will, Wiggins, Cason Wallace, those guys aren't playing as well either. So you can't even just point at somebody like SGA. It's really the whole squad and the energy and fervor that they're playing with, and it's just lacking. I lost $100 on them tonight, thinking that they were going to get right on a back-to-back at home against Charlotte and completely shat the bed. Not only didn't cover, but lost by fucking 30. So that to me, that speaks volumes to what's going on, not only with the players individually, but in that locker room. Not saying that there's turmoil or drama or anything like that, but there's more to it than just going out and playing X's and O's. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there is an element to that. And this is going to be a test for them because, Chaez, like I said, we have not seen a repeat champion since what? The Golden State Warriors did in 2017 and 2018. And even those teams were challenged during the regular season, whether it be injuries, whether it be a team like the Houston Rockets with Chris Paul and James Harden on the rise and everything like that. This is now a challenge. And this is why, like, I was wondering, these are some not only champions, they're young champions. So I kind of agree with that take where, now you've got the hype, you got the swag, you got everything like that. And hey, I always say this, to the victor goes the spoils. When you've won or you're busting people's asses, you got a right to chirp all you want because guess what? You have proven you could back it up. However, on a random day in January, you could still get your ass kicked. And it could be humbling. And exactly. And maybe in the process, this will be a good thing for Oklahoma City because it's a reminder this is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to get kicked in the teeth. And if you are going to do something difficult like repeat as a champion, as we saw what the LA Dodgers just did in the MLB, it is a hard process. How many challenges did the Dodgers have during the 25 regular season? They only won 93 games with the injuries, with the tough losses, even up until the final week of September, where everyone had scratching their heads like, can the Dodgers do this? And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world because now it's like we're being challenged. How do we respond to those challenges in a very competitive Western Conference where San Antonio, Houston, or Denver could potentially beat your asses 4 times out of 7 when the games matter this spring come playoff time. So just something to keep an eye on.
Just something to keep an eye on. We'll keep our eye on it for you, but we'll see if OKC can get it together sooner rather than later. I think the answer is yes, but if they, like, over the next 10 games, if they go another 500 or 4-6 and it's not 7-3 or better, then that's when I'm going to start to ask questions. And that's going to be at the end of this month when they play another 10 games. So we'll see. We'll check back in with them at the end of the month. What's going down in Atlanta, Chris? Word on the street by every outlet from Mark Stein of the Stein Line to Shams Charania of ESPN.
Yeah.
And Chris Haynes out of who does he work for now?
Chris Haynes is kind of like independent. I know he's on the Amazon.
Well,
is he on Amazon or NBC or Peacock? Yeah, he's on one of those. Anyway, Chris is doing a good job. Peacock. Yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, yeah, they've been trying to offload Trae Young. It feels like for like the last at least 3 years. It's felt like they've been trying to hawk him in that contract for a while now. And the fact is, the Hawks, I think, feel finally. Well, one, he's at the end of the contract. This is his final guaranteed year. He's got an option for 27, or this summer, I should say, for the 26-27 season, Chaez. That's worth just a shade under $49 million. Now, Atlanta did not give him an extension this past year, which is fine. But Atlanta, I think, feels we are in a prime position to move on. We have Rissache. We have Jalen Johnson. We have some pieces now that we feel we have a foundation that we could build around for the future. So if we could now get a potential haul or at least some, at the very least, cap relief for Trae Young, let's do that. Trae, his time, I think he's been on borrowed time in Atlanta for a while. And the problem with Trae, just like the problem that we saw with trading Zach LaVine, is that these guys are very one-dimensional players. The difference between Trae Young and Zach LaVine, though, I think, is Trae has proven he could take over games in the playoffs. He led that Hawks team in 21 to the conference finals. They unfortunately lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. But whether it be on the road or at home, the ice Trae, it's getting a little cold in here, has always proven he could deliver in the clutch. That's where I think separated him from a guy like LaVine. But here's what they have in common. They have not played up to the type of they have not played to the level that the contract was supposed to display, right? Trae had kind of just hit a ceiling where he was not leading the Atlanta Hawks. Zach LaVine was not leading the Chicago Bulls. So now it's at a point where it's like, we're not really wanting to get the best deal possible as much as we are trying to get him off of the roster. And that's where the Washington Wizards, I think, comes in at this point because they have expiring contracts. They have pieces that would better complement the young core and help Atlanta be competitive in the playoffs this year in Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum. And that's where I want to turn it over to you. Do you think Washington is the best bet, not just for Trae Young, but for the Hawks as well?
It really just depends on the contracts and the money and everything like that. Like Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum, I mean, both of them are worth about 33.5 million and expires after the season. With those coming off the books, Washington Wizards are going to have approximately about 80 million in cap space this summer. So, I mean, if you can bring and absorb Trae Young's 49 million for this option for next season, then that makes sense. There really is just going to depend on who else is going to be out there that's going to be willing to take on a $50 million contract for a player that was out, that hasn't really moved the needle as much and has gone through 2 head coaches or maybe even 3 now. It clearly wasn't Lloyd Pierce or Quinn Snyder that's the issue. It's really
Nate
just
McMillan too.
Nate McMillan as well. It's just that's why I said like 3 coaches. Like it really is just the fit. And to be honest with you, it's ownership. Like there are reasons why the Wizards, the Hornets, the Hawks,
Utah Jazz,
Kings,
Portland.
I don't even really want to say the Jazz, really, because the Jazz were viable with Donovan Mitchell but I would say the Kings.
That's a good point. I'm talking about more in recent years. Yeah,
but I'm just saying, just in general, like over the last 20 plus years, like there are teams that haven't even been competitive for long stretches. Not to say that Atlanta wasn't; they did with Millsap and Lou Will and you name it. But I'm just saying, like there are reasons, like it's not really a player and it's not really a coach. To me, for Atlanta, it's ownership and the culture and how you're building these teams. But somebody like Trae Young deserves it, which is he's getting interest from other teams around the league, but not garnering the interest that he probably should because of the albatross of a contract that he has and the lack of production that he has going with it at the same time, and missing some time with the MCL this year as well, earlier this season. So in my opinion, there should be more teams that should be in on him, but there aren't for obvious reasons. And that's pretty much has to do with the CBA and cap space and what teams can even maneuver and move to even bring in a large contract, because you can't go dollar for dollar depending on what the team situation is. So the business of the NBA is affecting this. If it was just straight up, talent for talent, then we would talk more teams. But it sounds like he's probably going to go to the Wizards because of the contracts of McCollum and Middleton, because those are coming off the books, and both teams
and maybe
aren't
like
great.
And I was just going to say, and they have
Trae Young, get worse, get a better pick, and then build around Jalen Johnson and whoever else, Okongwu and whoever else you got that you want to keep. But
Dyson Daniels is there as well. All good points. Sorry to cut you off. I was just saying, like, they have Daniels. I was like, I'm missing even that kid Krejci is pretty good. He's kind of like the new version of what they had in Bojan Bogdanovic for a while. So they got some nice players. I forgot about Dyson Daniels. He's good. They got off to a great start this season, and everyone's thinking like, hey, could Atlanta be like a sleeper in the Eastern Conference? But now they've fallen, 3 games below 500 and just kind of stuck in this purgatory, like you had mentioned. I agree with you on this. And, could there be other teams that come out of the woodwork? Sure. I'm sure everyone's going to throw out the New York Knicks. Could they be a landing spot for him? I think the Knicks got a good thing going right now. I don't think they want to jeopardize that chemistry. Milwaukee, maybe, I suppose. But, I think what is attractive about Washington is you laid out the financial aspect of it, but they also have they have more expendable young pieces. So I think Atlanta feels like we get pieces in McCollum and Middleton who could help us now, right? Who could maybe come in and bring some leadership experience. Middleton's a former champion. McCollum, years and years of playoff experience, good leadership guy, and still a guy that can get 25 in his sleep, and shoot, we've seen McCollum pop off for 35 and 40 this season in Washington. So get those guys in a position so they could help us in the short term. And then we could even get a young piece or two, maybe a pick. We can get out of Washington. I'm not so sure about that. I just don't know how Washington is going to assess the value of Trae Young. That's the thing where it's like he's worth these 2 contracts, this young guy, and this pick. And it's like a future second rounder. So we'll see what happens, but it's definitely intriguing. We've been hearing Trae Young's name to the Lakers. I'm sure we've been hearing it with Dallas too, right, with the Anthony Davis situation, but Dallas doesn't really want Trae Young. for the long term, especially when they don't know what they still have with Kyrie Irving. So that would make things a little bit you want to try to get pieces that would help you for the long term if you're the Mavericks or even the Washington Wizards, But my last question on this, will an extension factor into the landing spot? Or do you think he's going to bet on himself and decline the option and hit free agency this summer?
Yeah, of course it always does, but he's not getting that extension, which is why they're looking for trade options for him. Getting an extension is not even on the table for the Hawks. So, of course it would for Trae, but the Hawks don't want that. They already feel like they've made an investment that they're not really getting the results out of that they want. So it's really just time to part ways and rebuild that team. I thought they were going to be better than they are. Obviously, him missing time, with the MCL hurts quite a bit, but they got bigger issues than just Trae Young, in my opinion. But he's one of the biggest. So just take care of him, get him out of there, and move on and rebuild that team a little better. Grant Hill's got some work to do in that ownership group, not only with his team, but Team USA, now that Steve Kerr is out and Spoelstra is in. So on that note, from Miami, team that played from Miami, or player that played for Miami, and LeBron James is starting to get his sea legs back after playing, I think, 12 games now. Lakers win back-to-back games for the first time in a little bit. They win a home and homestand against Memphis. These home and homestands are kind of weird. They started doing them in the last few years to cut down on travel after COVID, which I completely understand. But the Lakers are a 4 seed, and they are one of the only teams with a top 4 record in the league, I believe it is.
Yeah.
That
I think they slid 4 tonight. Yeah. With the Rockets.
That has a negative defensive rating that's down in the 20s, 24th to be exact, and a negative point differential as well. But somehow 11 games above 500 and a top 4 seed in the West. I think even top 3 seed after that Denver loss the other night.
Yeah, but Denver won tonight and the Rockets won tonight. So they may have slid to 4th. We'd have to look into that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, either way. I actually after the Houston win, they're 5th. Tied for
they're 5th. There you go. Yeah, it just goes to show you what the
West does.
Yeah, I know exactly. The Hurricane Western Conference. I think that's the best way to. I'm sorry, I got to steal that nickname from Reuben Carter over there, but yeah, that's the best way to describe the Western Conference, man. Those wins and losses weight a little bit differently. Here's the thing with the Lakers. I'm not too surprised that Bron and Luka are figuring it out. Why? There's no Austin Reeves right now, and Luka has proven he could play well with another ball dominant player, whether it be Kyrie Irving, whether it be Jalen Brunson early in his career, and recently with even Austin Reeves. Remember, how well did they play, Chaez, the first month of the season that LeBron was out? Reeves and Luka were playing well. Where it's gotten murky is the fact that these 3 guys are out there at the same time, and they're all kind of ball dominant, not to mention it doesn't help your defense at all. In fact, having those 3 out there at the same time makes your defense worse. So I'm not surprised that it's working with Luka and Reeves, or in this case, Luka and Bron, because guess what? Now you've got Marcus Smart healthy. He's into the starting lineup. We're seeing Vando get more minutes. You're seeing LaRavia, who I think is really looked like a great 3rd option these last few games. Maybe he was trying to stick it to his former squad in Memphis, and he was extra motivated looking for revenge, but he's looked really good. No disrespect to Austin Reeves, but it's the dynamic just in general of 3 ball dominant players. And I know for a long time, the NBA was all about, the triple stars and the super teams and everything like that. But the pieces have to fit together just right. And you better have a well-constructed team around those 3 guys, which the Lakers do not. Like you just mentioned, the lack of defensive efficiency, obviously, that's been a problem for them all year. The other thing you didn't mention is they're 22-11, and they are in the bottom, I want to say 24-25 in 3-point field goal percentage. They are awful shooting the ball from downtown. Luka's had a bad year shooting the three. LeBron, he still hasn't done that well. I think their best shooter is Austin Reeves right now, and he's only shooting 35%. And obviously he's been out. So here's the thing. With the way they're constructed, Chaz, they could win 50 games. Hell, they could finish third in the West like they did last year. But they could very easily get bounced in the first round like they have last year and the year before that. There is a ceiling as currently constructed to what this team can accomplish, and that includes with a healthy Austin Reeves. And the last point I want to point out, the 11 losses have all been ugly. So you could say in the plus side,
all by double digits. I think.
All by double digits, exactly. So on the plus side of that, it's like, well, they're winning all these close games. Yes, good. They're winning all these close games. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. But when you have noticed that they are faced with a challenge, a Detroit, a Houston, a Boston, a Phoenix is a horrible matchup for them. Those are the teams with the speed, the size on the perimeter that can go coast to coast. Exactly. The athleticism, the speed. Their Laker transition defense is bad. Their help defense is not good. Those are the teams that are going to expose them. And guess what? Those are the teams that you're going to face in a potential, not even just a second round matchup, Chaz, in a first round matchup. I hate to say this, the Lakers are not better than OKC, San Antonio, a healthy Houston, a healthy Denver, and maybe not even a healthy Minnesota team. Maybe not. I don't know yet. Yeah, I know they've beaten them twice, but both of those games were really early in the season. So I like the fact they're winning as a Laker fan, but I'm not playing checkers. I'm playing chess. And as currently constructed, they won't get out of the first or second round, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. First or second round, I mean, they'll make the playoffs, but sure. I mean, and they may even get out of the first round, but that's what I mean, as currently constructed. You're not beating Memphis. I'm sorry, Memphis. You're not beating Houston, Denver, or OKC. You might beat the Spurs. You might even beat Minnesota. You might beat the Warriors, the Suns, the Blazers, the Grizzlies. But those three teams in Denver, who's my actual pick for the championship this year, the Thunder, and then the Rockets, who are playing great, just as good as the Lakers. I mean, to me, the fact that the Rockets are this good this early with a new player in Kevin Durant without Fred VanVleet tells me that they're going to be even better towards the end of the year, where reportedly Fred VanVleet might even give it a go, depending on how late into the season the Rockets extend out when it comes to the playoffs. So
shout out Reed Shepherd, by the way, doing a nice job. And Chaz, I remember you told me about him, didn't you? Reed Shepherd, you're like, watch out for this kid. I don't know if you expected him to do this well. I know point guard was a concern, but he's done well.
I just knew, given his skill set and given his opportunity with VanVleet out over the course of an 82 game season, he's going to get some looks, and he's helped them cover quite a few games and win me a few dollars along the way as well. So yeah,
always about the Benjamins. All about the Benjamins. Where's Ice Cube at? Is it 2002? Where's Mike Epps?
Home Alone 2. Tip, no tip.
Yeah, no. All About the Benjamins 2, starring Chaz Pearson, and there's always a tagline: "Get picks or die trying."
Get picks or die trying, baby.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. But yeah, no, I mean, look, Lakers are going to be fine. They're going to win games. They got a tough 2-game road set over here. I mean, they should beat the Pelicans tomorrow night. The Spurs, Chaz, let me just say this about the Spurs. They have confidence, in addition to the right structure of a team that could take out any opponent, if they're healthy, of course, in a 7-game series. So everyone's saying, well, they should gut that and go after Giannis. I don't know if that really helps them. That may be a setback for them. But when you look at the structure of the squad, the Vassell's, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper now healthy. De'Aaron Fox, I know he could be a little erratic at times, but that's still a dude that can get you, 30 points on any given night. Plus your front court with Wembanyama, with Cornette, with some of these other guys. And they could even flip Jeremy Sohan at some point. He's fallen out of the rotation, and get somebody else that could shore up a direct need for them. But with the youth, the athleticism, the versatility, the ability to get up and down the court and play efficiently in the half court, that is why the Spurs, they have almost adopted what Popovich had in the Big Three era with Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, and then eventually Kawhi Leonard, where it's like we have a star, but we're still always about the sum of the parts, or the parts of the sum. So anyway, I just think watch out for San Antonio. It may not be their time this year. You might be right on that, but the fact that they've beaten OKC 3 times already, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that just means a bad matchup. That's just a bad matchup for OKC for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but it just is what it is for those guys. So, we'll end up seeing how it works out. But ultimately, I think for the Lakers, they will be able to get themselves out of trouble if they can bring on some defensive players, because clearly their offense is good enough to be able to tread water, which is why they're 11 games above 500. If you can just, split those other games that you would lose otherwise, you'll make it to 50 plus games, get a 3 seed, have home court in the first round, and give yourself the best chance to at least advance to the second round and then potentially even the Western Conference Finals. So we'll see when it comes to that, but there's a lot to figure out in the West Coast and the East Coast. But for the Lakers, all things considered, if you would have told them you'd be 11 games 500 first week of the seat, above 500 first week of the new year, they would take that.
Chaez, one more thing before we move on to NFL. Got a question on our YouTube chat. Shout out to my bro Johnny. What about getting AD back? I'm gonna lob this one up to you.
It's not happening. Lakers don't trade players away and then trade back for those players. Not to say that the Lakers don't need AD, but that's just not how you want to construct your team, given now that you have Luka, and you want to go younger and more athletic and more flexible, not older and more brittle and more like, it is.
And you're right too. The of course. Yeah. And no, you mentioned it, the financial the financial constrictions that would put on you, you know what I mean? Because now, you need that financial flexibility to build the right team around Luka Doncic. If this is going to be the guy that you're going to be building around for years to come, which obviously the Lakers are. That's why he signed the extension. And that's why they gave it to him. Anyway, I just wanted to give my bro Johnny a shout out. Thank you to everyone tuning in on X, on YouTube, and we're on Facebook too right now, right, Chaez?
Absolutely. Facebook.
Yes,
tell your
sir.
mama, tell your friends. Last subject before we get on out of here. Thank you guys for tapping in with us. It is January, and January for me is known as the first month of the year, also known as the month that Kobe scored 81. Also known as the month for Martin Luther King and his birthday. But January is also known for football playoffs and Championship Sunday and the road to Championship Sunday. So, Chris, with Wildcard weekend upon us for the NFL, we got great matchups coming up. We got the Rams and the Panthers kicking us off on Saturday at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Then you got, help me out here, the night game with the Packers and the Bears.
On that's Saturday night.
Saturday night.
At Soldier Field. That's going to be wild.
It's going to be good. That's a pick 'em right now. Take the Bears, by the way.
The Bears.
In the morning, you got the Bills and the Jags. I like the Jags plus 1.5 in that game, but Josh Allen could put on the cape. Love that. In the middle game at 4:30 on Sunday, you got Niners, Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field. A rematch of that game when Brock Purdy tore up his elbow in the first quarter, I believe, or second quarter maybe.
The NFC Championship game a few years ago. Yeah, when the
Eagles
lost to the Chiefs the first time. Yes, I remember that game.
Yep. And in the nightcap in that game, you got Chargers and Patriots.
Man,
pretty good game with Harbaugh versus Vrabel. And then on Monday, you got the worst game and the worst matchup because the Steelers somehow pulled off an improbable win over the Baltimore Ravens. You got Texans at Steelers. Take the under. The under already hit 6 days in advance.
Yeah.
Chris,
Yes,
what do you
sir.
make of NFL Wildcard Weekend? What is the most intriguing matchup that I just listed out for you and these fine people?
Well, let me just say this first before I get to the pick. This is probably the most wide open for either league, by the way, that we've seen it in quite some time. There is no clear, you look at all those matchups, like obviously the Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champs. There's no guarantees they get out of wild card weekend. It would not shock me if the Niners went in there and knocked out Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Nick Sirianni and company and advanced to the NFC divisional round. It would not shock me at all. The Bears and the Packers, are you kidding me? In the wild card weekend, that is going to be awesome right there. So yeah, and I think for the AFC, no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes. It's you would think this is the Bills' year, which is the matchup I'm going with as the most intriguing because they are getting the toughest draw. I think at least out of the AFC matchups, they are getting the toughest draw this weekend, going into Jacksonville to take on a healthy, hungry, clicking on all cylinders Jacksonville Jaguars team. Now, say what you want about the division and everything like that, but you know what? Trevor Lawrence got something unlocked this year, and I really thought this was going to get unlocked with Doug Peterson, and it turns out Liam Cohen turned out to be the right guy. It almost like what Matthew Stafford needed with Sean McVay, right? The right guy to truly unlock him and get him to that next level. So this will not be a cakewalk for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They've had their highs and lows this year. We've seen them look dominant, including this past week against the Jets, and we've seen them struggle as they did early in the season, getting pounded by the Atlanta Falcons on a Monday Night Football. So we have seen the best and worst. And here's the thing. I don't know if there's a better opportunity in general for Allen, McDermott, and the Bills to make that deep run into January and for their sake, hopefully into February for representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. But this will be a tough matchup. I mean, you want to talk about, it was almost like remember when the Lakers played OKC in 2010? It's like, yeah, the Lakers should win, but that OKC team is going to give them a run for their money. This will be that test for Buffalo right out of the gate. And Josh Allen, you mentioned the Superman cape. Yeah, I think he's going to need to put that on. But he's no stranger to that, Chaez. We've seen him put on some great performances on the road and at home and even against the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, it always just seems like one devastating play undoes the Bills, given their history. But maybe this is the year they finally break through. But if they don't, man, they got some tough questions to answer this winter. Your thoughts on your most intriguing matchup?
Oh, man.
And I got the Bills winning that game.
There's two games that I want to go with, but I got to go with at least one NFC matchup, and that matchup is the Niners and the Eagles.
Man.
I think the Rams absolutely demolished the Panthers. The Panthers have no business in the playoffs at all, especially or beating the Rams by 3 like they did earlier this year. So I think the Rams win by more than double digits in that game. I think in the Packer-Bear game, that game is going to be all Bears, especially if the Bears play the defense that they're supposed to. Take the under in that game, by the way, as well. But the most intriguing matchup is the Niners and the Eagles from just the perspective of, I know the Niners team is not the same because they traded Debo. Ayuk is not what he isn't even on the team right now, or playing, I should say. He's going to get traded or really be away from the team. Trent Williams may or may not play. We'll see.
Bethune is out. Bethune is out, by the way. I wanted to put their linebacker. Yeah, the Fred Warner's replacement. Go ahead. I just want to point that out.
Fred Warner is already out himself.
Yeah,
so
Bosa,
Bosa, they have no pass rush. You saw that against the Seattle Seahawks, even though they only scored 13 points. The Niners couldn't score offensively like that. So I just think that the most intriguing matchup is the Eagles against the Niners. I think the Eagles they got a favor done to them by drawing the Niners because of the trenches matchup, that the Eagles are going to have the advantage in the trenches on both sides, in my opinion. Yeah. So for that reason, along with Saquon and Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and just more talent and AJ Brown. The Niners are just too beat up. So I got to take Philly in that game. I don't know about the spread. Philly's taking a lot of money. It started at 3.5, 4. It's up to 4.5. I even saw some 5s out there briefly. Everybody is back in Philly in this game. I like Philly money line. I'm not really necessarily sold on the spread, but that is the most intriguing matchup to me because of what I just outlined. And if you had to watch another game, Vrabel versus Harbaugh and Chargers Patriots is right there with Niners Eagles. So I had to go with an NFC matchup, but please watch Justin Herbert and Drake May do their thing, and this coaching matchup that you're going to see on Saturday night on Prime in New England. So
for sure,
that's what I think about those matchups.
Yeah, well said. I think the Eagles, and my girl's a big Niners fan, and obviously she's, I mean, like you said, the injuries. It's just sort of, it sucks, because at this point in the season, you want to see both teams healthy. That's the thing, and no Pearsall, no Trent Williams. You can't tell me that didn't have an impact on the Niners. And then that fluke play, where it ricochets off of McCaffrey's hands and ends up being an interception for the Seahawks. And what happened on Saturday night, it was just like, man, they just did not have a great game. It just, everything kind of just went against them. And this is a team that has kind of defied all the expectations this year. And once again, shout out to Kyle Shanahan, being able to make lemonade out of lemons in a crappy situation. Last year it was too much. But this has been a consistent problem for them in recent years, whether it be Kittle being hurt, Purdy being hurt, McCaffrey being hurt, Trent Williams, Ayuk, the situation there. It's been one thing after another. And then, of course, you lose the heart and soul of your defense. And yet here you are as a 6 seed in the NFC in a bloodbath of a division this year, in a wide open conference, and yet they are in a prime position still to potentially sneak one out on what I've really kind of called, Chaz, an uninspired Eagles team. I think they're good enough to win that game. Obviously, I mean, with how they're going to want to slow the game down. You said in the trenches with Saquon, with the defense, they're going to try to put pressure on Brock Purdy, force him into, speed him up, force him into some bad decisions. But I just think it's going to be a very intriguing matchup, because you wonder, does Shanahan and the Niners have one more trick up their sleeve to potentially knock off a sleepy, uninspired Eagles team? Or are the Eagles of last year, going to start to suit up, and we're going to kind of see them go into like what the Dodgers did in the postseason? Remember, the Dodgers stumbled into the playoffs this year. They did go on a 5-game winning streak, but then it was like, stub their toe, and then all of a sudden they show up against the Reds. Boom, they dominate.
2 games, boom, 2 home runs. Otani, boom, Tail, 2 home runs, boom.
My point is, are we going to see that version of the Eagles come out? That's the one thing I'm just a little which is why I think this will
take the under.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Niners, as an underdog. I think they could sneak that one out. The last thing I want to say, you like the Chargers Patriots matchup. I like it for this case. Herbert's toughness. And I that's going to be on full display, and we're going to see what he's capable of doing against a very talented, hot, and confident Patriots team with perhaps I know you don't want to hear this, Chaz, perhaps the MVP as their quarterback. So you're going up against a very gritty, tough quarterback in Herbert, against somebody who could very well be the MVP, who I don't know if he's arrived yet, but he's had a hell of a year in Drake May. So that's going to be a very, interesting matchup right there. And Patriots have been great all year, but could this be just like the Niners game, a hurt team finding a way to win a football game on the road? Chargers, the history doesn't favor them, but if anyone could do it, I wouldn't bet against Jim Harbaugh or Justin Herbert personally. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's why I got Chargers plus 3.5. Take the points. That is the best fucking bet on the board right now. More than anything, take the points, take the better team. The Chargers are better than the Patriots. I think game for game, The coaching matchup is going to be great. It's going to be very, very close. If anybody wins by a field goal, you still cover by the hook. Take the 3.5. Chicago, I just like them against the Packers. They won last time. They should have won the first game.
Yeah.
I like them. They're rolling, especially off that loss from the Lions. Going to give Ben Johnson a little bit more to tweak with Caleb Williams. Rams, like I said, Panthers have no business in the fucking playoffs. Let's get them out of here. Rams by 1,000,000 in that game. I know you don't believe me. You were texting me during the Rams game talking about how McVay has his head up his ass.
I didn't say that.
Stafford can't fucking complete a ball, can't fucking throw a touchdown. Like, I know
I said
I'm just exaggerating. I'm just exaggerating because Chris literally did text me and was poo-pooing the Rams about literally getting their heads out of their ass in so many words by being down by 4 points, 16-20 in the third quarter. And right after that, I said, Chris, have no worries. They're going to score here, get a stop, and get rolling. That's exactly what happened. I believe it was 21 unanswered points from that point forward to finish the game and close out the 5 seed.
Can I ask you one question about? Yes. Can I ask you one question about the Rams? Are they the team that we saw in the first and third quarter? The walking wounded, the team that may have mentally been screwed up from that Seattle blown game, the overtime loss? Or are they the team that we saw in the second and the fourth quarter where that was the Rams we saw all season long? Methodical, precision offense with an aggressive defense that can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback as well as take you out of your run game. Which is it? I think
it's the latter. Like, it's the team that you saw for 12 of the 16 games or 17 games that they played this year. Really? No, I would say even 15 of the 17 games that they played this year, because 2 of those games that they lost, they were actually beating the team by more than 3 scores at one point. So, and that's 2 scores in Seattle and Philadelphia when they were up by, I think it was 24-3 at one point in that game, or 24-6, whatever it was. They outplayed 15 of the 17 teams that they played this year. Like, it's
and they shot themselves in the foot in 4 of those 5 losses, basically.
Like, I would say they even
all 5 losses, maybe, right?
Yeah, I mean,
argument.
They didn't outplay the Falcons. They just didn't. Even though they could have still won, they didn't outplay the Falcons.
Yeah,
I don't believe that they completely outplayed the Panthers, even though they still could have won that game. Matthew Stafford not fumbled the ball and, through the interceptions he did. But I will say for the Rams, when they're locked in, they've never played bad in a playoff game under McVay. They have never come out. I'm telling you something I know, not something they have never come out and laid an egg in a McVay playoff game. Even the Super Bowl, that wasn't an egg that was laid. That was a hard-fought match that Bill Belichick just outcoached McVay in, and he had Jared Goff as a quarterback that couldn't really –
and no Cooper Kupp.
And no Cooper Kupp, exactly. So I'm just saying that the Rams have never played bad in a game like that. The Panthers have no business in the playoffs, let alone hosting a playoff game. You are about to see the real, and there's a reason why that spread is 10. Lay the 10.
They need Jackson back. They need Kevin Dotson back on that O-line, and they need Tay back out there. And by the way, shout out to the tight ends. They've done a tremendous job. Tyler Higbee was fantastic. Colby Parkinson was good. Davis Allen, I don't know where he's been at, but the tight ends have stepped up to kind of fill that void left behind by Devontae Adams. And of course, you can't deny what Puka Nacua has meant to this team. He kind of went through a little bit of a lull there, coming off the injury, but he's looked like himself again. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. Corum didn't play, I don't think, this past week. But Kyron Williams was really good, and hopefully everyone is healthy or healthy enough, ready to go, and they'll be licking their chops to get some payback against the Carolina Panthers and end their season, because I know they did not like how that game went down. I think it was Thanksgiving weekend where they played the Carolina Panthers, so chance to get some get back. But we'll see, man. Carolina's got nothing to lose. It's a gift just to be there. So when you got nothing to lose, to quote DiCaprio from Titanic. So it'll be a fun this is always my favorite weekend of the playoffs. Wild card weekend. is the best, man. It really is. It's always fun to watch, So we'll see what happens.
It's that part. It's that time of the year. Well, we appreciate you guys. Ran a little bit over tonight, but we're having that good football talking picks. Appreciate you guys tapping in. I know we did the show on a Monday instead of a Wednesday like we normally do. We will be back to our regular Wednesday moving forward next
14th.
week. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a mini bye here with a week and 2 days off. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for tapping in. Chris, where can they follow you, my man?
You could always follow me on Twitter or X at Chris_Camelo, like it says there. See Camelo1 on Instagram, Facebook as well. Be sure to follow us on the Outlet Forum. That's at the Outlet Forum on IG, on YouTube, and on X. Chaez, great stuff as always, my friend. It's always fun to do these shows, and especially even on a Monday night. But we got it done tonight, and lot more to cover moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys. We will see you next week, and enjoy the great football and the great basketball that's being played on a night in and night out basis. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tapping in. Peace.